AFTV, Graham. We got Graham here, right? Listen, good to see you, Graham. First thing I've got to ask you, talk to me about the tactics today, because when we was in the studio and we saw the team announce and we saw no Gabriel in there, right? Everybody was baffled, right? I mean, watching that first half, I saw the reasons why, but I want you to break it down for people who couldn't understand, or maybe you didn't understand, or maybe you think it was a mistake, or what did you make of it?
It was my decision, Rob. Arteta said he was going to be unpredictable this season. Yeah. He certainly was today. I think what we saw was he moved Saliba to left centre-back instead of Gabriel. He moved White to right centre-back and played Thomas Partey as a right-back, and his job was to invert into midfield. And the reason he did that was because Nottingham Forest had the lowest possession stats in the Premier League. I think last year something like 35%. Yep. They had the least amount of successful passes into the opposition half. So he didn't feel as though he needed 4 defenders. That's what he did. Yeah. So I must admit I was surprised because I think Gabriel has been excellent in that left-sided position. But the idea principally was he thought we would have more of the ball, they would have less of the ball, so he wanted only 3 defenders at the back to defend, and he wanted the extra man in midfield, and that's why he did it.
Now that worked though, didn't it? In the first half, that worked, didn't it?
Yeah, it did work, and I think after a slow start, we grew in the game. We scored 2 really good goals. Martinelli, outstanding piece of skilled set Eddie. And I think the second goal, an absolute banger from Bukayo Saka. I think what you saw a lot of flexibility in the shape, right? And because we had all the ball, we must have had about 70-80% of the. Although they had the bigger XG, Rob, because they had that big chance, the Johnson chance, but we had more of the ball.
First half, right? When we looked at it at half time, we had 86%. Possession. I mean, I've never madness.
And I think the decision to go with this tactics, though, I think was shaped by the game at Nottingham last season. When we went up there, we lost 1-0. Right, we lost 1-0 up there, and they play like a 3-4-1-2. But they defend in a 5. And they're very narrow. So he wants to stretch the pitch with wide players, and he wants the extra attacker. He wants a 3-3-1, a 3-3-3-1, or he wants a 3-1-6. So he wants 6 lanes up high. So he wants the extra man attacking. That's why he went with it, and we saw the advantages of it today and the disadvantages of it today. Right. As you said, the first half, the extra man in midfield, the extra attacker up high when we needed 6 lanes, and that gave us an advantage in the attacking areas. But second half, we saw the disadvantages of it. And that came when they got back in the game in the last 20 minutes. Because when you're playing Thomas Partey at right back and he inverts and he's out of position, then they're going to get an overload or a free run on that left-hand side, which they did a couple of times. There was a warning before Alanga slung in the cross for the goal. And although Declan Rice was trying to cover, and I think it was Declan Rice, he went past him. But then you saw the problem of the system. Now, what normally happens is Gabriel plays on the left, White plays on the right. Saliba plays on the right, and White plays right back. Saliba would normally come across, not straight away, but he would have to come across. White, I think, hasn't been used to playing centre-back, so with Saliba watching the left-hand side, White stayed in the middle, didn't come across, and then the cross came into the box, and then Awoniyi got a stole a march on White. I think what White had to do, White had to come out to engage with Alanga. He didn't do that. So the advantage of it is of playing just a back 3 3 defenders, is that if you're going to have a lot of the ball and you want the extra man in midfield and the extra man up high, you get that. But the disadvantage of it is when the team had the ball, and we dropped our intensity second half. First half, very bright, very energetic. Second half, no intensity, and it was just drifting. I just knew they were going to score. Yeah, and he didn't respond to it. And then he had to bring Gabriel on. Then he brought Gabriel on.
I was going to say, is that the mistake then that he made today? Not in his tactics, because the tactics were spot on in the first half. But in the second half, when it's 2-0, you're 2-0 up, let's switch it. And you're starting to see them have a go now. He should have switched it before. That's how I felt. But
I think probably Martinelli should have stayed on the pitch. I think I thought Trossard should have come on earlier. That's just 2 sort of things he started to keep Havertz on. He was slightly unlucky though, because I think his substitutions were slightly influenced by the fact the injury to Timber meant he'd use 1 sub straight away. But he didn't change it quick enough, and we were sort of like just drifting in the game. They saw an opportunity. Remember, they were making subs. They were bringing players on.
Yeah, they brought 5 players.
And Alanga, and I think Awoniyi, who normally plays for them, wasn't fit to start the game. And he was a real threat that 20 minutes he was on the pitch. But he should have changed it far earlier. That was, I think, what he didn't do. Got the tactics right, I think. And he said he's going to be unpredictable this year, because I think he said last year teams started to work out how we were building up. So he wanted more unpredictability in the way we build up. And you saw the different rotations. Like Rice was playing in 3 different positions. I thought today, White was sometimes he was the centre back, but he was coming up high, and then it would become a 3 at the back with Timber dropping across from left back. Then Timber would go high and White would stay. So you saw the flexibility in it. And against a team who have little possession, there is value in it. But I'd say if you drop your intensity second half and you don't refresh it or freshen it up, then you're just sitting there almost like not a lame duck, but you're inviting pressure. And to be honest with you, Forest had that physicality the last 20 minutes, and I think he should have responded earlier.
Yeah, let me just finally ask you one thing. Declan Rice, what have we bought here? What in your assessment of him today? We paid £105 million for him. What is he going to bring to Arsenal?
Well, I think he's a complete footballer. He's the complete DM. I think he's a leader on the pitch. His passing, his positioning, he understands where to go. I think he offers us something, and also his physicality. And I think that, so I think he's going to add that little bit extra to centre mid. Still think leadership, yeah. I think the thing is we are still one light in centre mid, in my opinion. So the 2 areas of the team that worry me going into this season, if we got an injury to Partey or Rice, we haven't got somebody who can. Yeah, but he's not. I don't think he can do what they do. And then we haven't got a natural finisher up front, although we do share the goals around the team. But in answer to your question, I think Rice leader, complete defensive midfielder, passer, and I just think he's comfortable. Wherever he goes on the pitch, Rob, he's very comfortable on the ball, and he's very good with his recovery runs and his tackling. You saw that last week in the Community Shield when he rushed back and he made a brilliant tackle. So he's good at all aspects of the game. He's very good defensively. His defensive numbers are outstanding. So he'll be a very good defensive player for us, but also very good with his passing and also his fluidity in the team shape. And I think he's the player that Arteta wants.